Okay, hi everybody. Good evening this Friday night here for us anyway. Um, and welcome to our ongoing vigil in which we are attempting to support the forces. Okay, the forces of the soul within the United States and everywhere else that we can reach. Maybe there's not so much to report today. Uh, I think that the the part representing Mars and division is getting ready for January 6th, where they hope the last opportunity to overturn the legitimate results of the election uh, will occur. Meanwhile, more people are getting vaccinated, and some of the leaders of the um, within the United States are becoming publicly vaccinated so that they can instill confidence, because it is necessary that many people receive the vaccination in order for it to work. If a great number refuse it, we will still have many problems. And of course, the question of the side effects are before our eyes as well, but they do not seem so serious when compared uh, with the possibility of non-vaccination. So we will have to watch quietly. You know, it has been stated by some of the thinkers in high positions that they wanted everybody simply to, you know, the more people that got the disease, the more we would move towards herd immunity, so to speak. However, Sweden tried that. And was it today, yesterday, today? The king of Sweden came forward and said that those efforts had been a failure, and that too many people had died in the process. And that's a country of 8 million plus or so. One could only imagine what would happen if it was left that way in the United States with its 330 million people. So we will watch carefully, vigilantly, as we discuss the factor of vigilance, and we'll continue to see how the new group of world servers work and where they are inspired from. We have an interesting reading. It won't be long, um, and we'll stop our reading and discussion roughly at 20 minutes to whatever the hour may be for you. I think someone has their. Okay, try to keep your audio off unless you're going to be speaking particularly. Um, yes, and of course, it is true that meanwhile, while neglect of all kinds of responsibilities are going on, there's a neglect of that immense cyber attack, apparently from Russia, apparently. And the implications have not yet been sorted out, but they are chilling. Well, you know, what is extraordinary is that the present president, does not really want the responsibilities of the presidency. He just wants to win it and kind of neglect these other factors. And this is huge, but we'll read more about this in the coming days. So thanks, Anne, for bringing that up, bringing that to our attention. Now, I'm going
Well,
to.
I just one point about this coronavirus, that it is like a new way in that sense that the speed of mutation is so quick that's why this what was the experiment in Sweden, it was failing. If that would have been like normal virus, we don't know what would have been happening then, but that's the problem of that.
17 mutations they have tracked, but they try to say that this may or may not affect the effectiveness of the vaccine, may or may not.
So
Truth
that
is,
is
nobody knows yet.
That's right. It's going to be seen.
Yeah. And of course, the Christmas, there are many things that we could look at and say, well, they're out of control. The number of people passing on from this virus is unacceptable. We're up in the range of 3,000. Yesterday it was 3,656 in the United States alone, not to mention the ongoing tragedy of it in all the other countries. And now comes Christmas and the usual, Dr. Fauci says, look, I'm just going to be at home with my wife. I won't be seeing my kids, and you shouldn't either. We have to be very grateful that we have this man advising us, because he is a figure who is selfless, far more selfless than many. And he gives reliable advice. It will be ignored by many, of course, but at the same time, we can hope that some will at least heed the warning of adding the Thanksgiving surge, which has not entirely appeared yet, adding to that the Christmas surge. So, we're certainly not out of the woods, and caution is being advised constantly. And the White House, by and large, is ignoring these cautions, and so are the conservative media. Say, please, yes, go. Christmas is a time, be with your family, says, Fox News, Laura Ingraham. One wonders what can possibly be the result of such advice, which people are so eager to hear and will obey, or follow anyway, will follow. Okay, anything else there? Let's see. Yeah, we have a little bit of reading to do, perhaps. Interesting, very interesting material. And maybe, how much reading is it? Up to the triple dots. So do we have a volunteer to read this first section? Yes,
do
dear?
you want that we will look the comments first?
Oh, are there comments? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yvonne says no rescue package for the starving US citizens yet. Mitch McConnell still protecting his corporate friends.
Yeah, I understand that, and there has been. It's true that it may expire before a certain deadline. Okay. Yes, it's a one way to look at it, and it's probably true. Yes.
Then Jane, it seems Pfizer has plenty of vaccines ready, but our government has reduced the order. It is not understood why. Our government is saying Pfizer is not able to fill orders, but the company is ready.
Yes, there is a discrepancy going on there, and in such an emergency time, is there a game being played? Let's say so. Let's say so. Biden looks worse and worse. Okay, all right.
Heike, Pfizer had problems getting bad ingredient, so they could only start with less in the beginning. Marianne from Sweden says about coronavirus and Sweden, we don't treat old people well, so there are many dying, but we don't talk about it now. We can say it's the virus.
Well, that's an interesting angle, and Mariana is from Sweden, so
Yeah.
she's seeing it, how it's understood. Anyway, but nevertheless, it does seem that this, what are they calling it, herd immunity under such circumstances, and with a mutating virus, as Tuya said, is not really working. So, we're right next door here to Sweden, and there's a risk all through Europe. Once again, a very big risk. So we're certainly not out of these high rates of death by any means. That's going to take a while. And if what Bill Gates says is correct, we're not really emerging from this, he says, until the middle of 2022. Is it so? Well, maybe nobody knows. Okay, is there anything else?
Jane, not according to Rachel Maddow last night. So to what that is now related to?
MSNBC, yeah, but what's it related to?
Yeah,
That's the
I
question.
think, yeah, she was commenting to somebody.
Maybe not bad, maybe it's not about bad ingredients. Was she commenting on that? Starting with less in the beginning? I'm not sure. Maybe you can write it down.
Jane, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jesse, government shutdown very likely. Do you want to say something?
Well, what can one say? Everybody's been trying to avoid that, but it may serve the purposes of the present administration to see that happen.
You know that because the Saturn Jupiter conjunct is the exact time, it is now on. So, and it is on winter solstice. These energies are really, really functioning now. We have to see that.
I would like people to understand about Aquarius, though. Okay, it's not just Saturn, Jupiter. I mean, the exact conjunction. What was it to you? 21st or something like that. I believe we're
Yeah, it
having
is.
a.
We have in the. I think it is like. Is it 8 hours difference or something like that from the winter solstice and then this conjunction?
Yeah. Well, okay, but here's the thing about Aquarius, and few people maybe think about this. It is the sign of epidemics. It is the sign where anything, good or bad, is spread about widely. It is the sign of distribution, which gives us the hope that that which is needed by everybody will be distributed. At the same time, it can work in another way. It can work in a way that which is not good is distributed. I mean, I think the second degree, I'm trying to remember, one of the early degrees of Aquarius, I think, references the spread of mumps. It's often a childhood sickness. I'll have to look it up. It's in the Sabian symbols. So we have to make sure.
When also, the first decan there is the Cygnus, which is related to the death of the brother, and in the mythological sense. And also, when we think about Jupiter can indicate about the passing away
Yes.
expansion to the other realm.
Both
So-
Jupiter and Saturn in that sense, difficulty and passing on. So
Right.
many high potentials, yes, of course.
So
and at the same time, yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no, at the same time, it's just it. One cannot let the guard down. Okay, let's look at the next one. Is it from
Karen?
yeah, no,
Do
yeah,
you
Karen.
read them, Michael? Karen is the next one.
I can do that. The genius of authoritarian leaders, their own type of genius, is that they are able to get people to go or fight against their own interests. For instance, face masks, so many people fighting against wearing what would protect them. They are able to have them focus their anger on the so-called elite, who are very often the authoritarian leaders themselves. It is a huge delusion. It's a subterfuge, obviously. And when will people have the ability to see through it? That's a big question. So it's true what you say. Now go ahead. You want to?
Yes, there is Jesse also.
Jesse
Can you
from
read that?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Leaders had hit a new roadblock as Democrats on Friday accused Republicans led by Senator Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania of seeking to hamstring the incoming Biden administration by cutting off Federal Reserve emergency lending facilities created by the CARES Act to protect the fragile economy. Well, yes, our money is not going in support of the citizens who need it right now the most. And as someone said earlier, to protect the friends, to protect the cronies of those presently in power. Okay. And it's
So
Leo 2 degrees. That's it. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I knew it was right opposite. Early degrees of either Aquarius and rather Leo. It's correct. So Stephen tells us that the mumps are involved in the 180 degrees away.
So what is mump?
It is a childhood disease where things.
All of those.
Yeah, well, not all of the diseases, but one particular.
One.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a swelling that occurs, etc. Nevertheless, Aquarius does spread things, Okay, Jesse, that is why the COVID stimulus is not going to pass. And and I assume that's because, Jesse, of the cronyism and the protection of the corporations. There's just not a fair attitude operative. And the wealthy so often are saying, well, we have it, we're going to keep it, that's it. And that logic makes sense to them. Of course, it will lead to the downfall of all things, including their own wealth, and oftentimes to some sort of revolution. So thank you for your thoughts. Yeah. We have our own little news team here that makes sure we don't leave out the important things. But every day something new will come up, and you can be sure that the White House, obsessed as it is with victory, for the most part, at least in the leadership, the dweller in the White House, will not relent on this because it's a psychological issue. We are dealing with abnormal psychology. That is something that has to be understood. And that abnormality has been exacerbated, irritated in millions of the general public. So they have now an attitude which cannot be considered at all unitive. The idea of divide and conquer, it's an old Roman idea, it's Caesar's idea, you know, or well, it's probably not his, but he certainly used it. That is prominent in the astrological chart of the leader in the White House. Prominent. Divide the forces and feed only the personality forces of the dweller and negate the soul impulses. There's something that goes on in the fifth petal of the egoic lotus when it is being developed. And unless the fall from the tower has the proper effect, it will not lead to aspiration, discipleship, and the first initiation, which should be the completing of the fifth petal of the egoic lotus. The current dweller in the White House is not there yet. And his overbearing manner as a channeling of the dweller on the threshold for humanity is very oppressive. The forces of obstruction look for just such a person. They have found this in the leaders of the Axis powers, you know, Hitler, Mussolini, Tojo. They have found these people who can channel, who can stand as representatives of the negative forces. And then they protect them, even to the extent of healing them, warning them, making sure they stay out of harm's way. So it's a serious situation, and we continue our work. Now, dear, I'm not at all sure what
There are
time
a
is
few
it.
comments.
A few comments, okay, okay.
Yeah. I'll start from Jesse.
Okay, wait a second.
After Stephen.
Oh, yes,
and the
yes, yes,
monks.
hold on. As I said, Jesse said, you know, we have oligarchies and democracies and meritocracies, and we have kleptocracies. Klept means to grab for yourself, you know, as in the word kleptomaniac, someone who just has to steal. They go into stores and they are driven to steal, whether or not they even need it. So
okay,
the
Michael.
idea, yeah, dear?
Yes, you jumped from Francis.
Oh, did I miss Francis?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Francis, yeah. Above.
Oh, here it is. McConnell wants Biden to be blamed for a failed economy. Yeah. Well, this is that partisan vision which does not care for the whole. You know, when Tuya has this meditation and we all visualize the sevenfold wheel of divine love, as it's called, I keep on seeing all the different parts of this variegated nation, the United States, coming together under all the seven rays into some form of unity, which suggests the motto of the country, one motto anyway, E pluribus unum, at least found on the money of the nation. But we're far from that uniting of the many different parts. But if we can bring all the rays together, we can achieve that that union, which will raise our response to the COVID and raise our possibilities for a economy that will not fail. But I think you're correct, Francis, about that. And of course, the harder they make it for him in the beginning, the more he will struggle. But as I say, he has every one of the fourth ray indicators. The moon in Taurus, a bunch of planets in Scorpio, and Saturn rising, all of which are the fourth ray triangle. So I'm sure he's going to do his very best in that perilous place in the middle to try to bring the warring factions together if he gets in. And I think, we all think the probability is there. What else? Oh, last night. So Stephen Colbert, yeah, he's a wonderful comedian, but a very serious person, very serious. And I didn't see that interview. Maybe Yvonne, if you want to say something about it, or
Yvonne says also, Mitch said that they won't go home until they get a rescue package.
okay, who said that? Who will not go home
Yvonne.
until? Uh-huh.
I heard that today. He's been on yesterday and today and saying no matter how long it takes, they're not going home till they get a rescue package. So I'll give him credit for that. But Stephen Colbert took about a half hour last night, and he doesn't come on to 11:35 p.m. my time. And he interviewed both Biden and his wife for about a half an hour, and it was very uplifting.
Well, that's good. And there's such a belittlement going on of the legitimate attainment degree of Jill Biden, Dr. Jill. Well,
yeah, he said that they were attacking her because of her saying she was a doctor, that she's an MD. She said her husband defended her and said she had 2 masters, and I told her instead of keep getting masters, get a doctorate so she could get more money. So she finally got the doctorate. He said, and she only got $2,000 a month more.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
I worked very hard for this doctorate, and I'm going to keep it.
Well, and it's a legitimate one. And these PhD people, they are called doctor this, doctor that, especially within the academic community. But maybe the larger community is not used to that. They try to make her seem as if she's masquerading as something medical. That's how narrow the point of view is. Well, she would be a real first lady. No question about it.
She said she's a teacher. She was a teacher when she was vice president lady. And when she's going to be first lady, she intends to continue with her teaching.
Well, we have the second ray in there. I'm not sure what President-elect Biden's rays may be. He has a lot of fourth ray, but it looks like the sixth ray and the second ray are strong for him as well. He's quite the idealist. And look, from the very beginning, he said, and that was months and months ago, this is a battle for the soul of America. He got it, he understood it. And, to have such a person in the White House who at least understands that is important for all of humanity, and especially at this crisis time for the United States. Yeah. Okay, is that it then? Let's see, is there more?
That's it, Michael.
That's it.
You can read now the text.
Well, I really wonder if I even should, dear. I mean, because
yeah.
We have had our, let's see what time it is. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just read something short. And, just expeditiously. And we can see whether we'll talk about it now, because I know that we were intending to start the meditation in 10 minutes. So this is a very esoteric section of the Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 2. And sometimes it's important really to know where the energies come from, because we are being impressed by the high energies now. Some people can take it, some groups can take it, other people react in just the opposite way. So the idea of the origin of these high and guiding energies at this time of transition is important for us to have in mind. So just getting on with it, curiously enough, DK, he says, in view of the fact that the principle of mind is the fifth principle, and we're heading into the fifth root race, into the fifth kingdom rather, there are 5 major groups which function primarily through creative and sustaining meditation. He's always offering the plug for exactly that, meaning he wants us. I'm working through right now Letters on Occult Meditation, almost finished, and I'm getting it out to you. It's on Makara if you want to get into it. Every time he comes back to the potency of creative meditation. So who are these groups that are manifesting powerfully through meditation? One, the new group of world servers. Now that's where we are maybe most concerned. That's who we try to be part of, right? Number 2, the ashram with which disciples in the new group of world servers may be affiliated. The ashrams function through creative and sustaining meditation. The hierarchy itself, the ashram of Sanat Kumara. Now, do we realize that? That the spiritual hierarchy is the ashram of Sanat Kumara. Now, the Christ may be the head in a way, or the head and heart of that ashram on a certain level, but it is an extension of Sanat Kumar's power, just the way the master's ashram is an extension of his power. And then he gets quite esoteric here. What's another group functioning through creative meditation? The Nirmanakayas, or the inspired contemplatives. And they are initiates of the 6th degree, at least. And they work between Shambhala and hierarchy. And then he gets even more esoteric about it. The higher correspondents of the Nirmanakayas, who find their place in relation to Shambhala, this is analogous to that of the Nirmanakayas to hierarchy. So this higher group, he calls them something down here just a little bit, this higher group is offering its light, its ideas to Shambhala, just the way the Nirmanakayas offer that to hierarchy. And all of these function through creative and sustaining meditation, and so must we. The personnel of these groups is supplied from the larger groups to which they are intermediate. So, from the hierarchy will arise the personnel of the Nirmanakayas, and maybe from Shambhala will arise the personnel of this higher group of Nirmanakayas. Suffice it to say, we function through creative and sustaining occult meditation. And we must never forget that. We're always having to learn more deeply about the importance of occult meditation and how powerful it can be. And just one more thing here, and then maybe time for a few comments if there are any. I'm just going between the triple stars. The new group of world servers gathers its personnel out of the great planetary center called humanity. Okay, that's obvious. Now, this is something of interest. The more advanced members of the group, of new group of world servers, are affiliated with some ashram within the ring pass knot of hierarchy. It doesn't mean that all of us are yet, but we're on our way towards a certain affiliation within the hierarchy. Maybe, Master DK's ashram, Master KH's ashram, Master R's ashram, in some way we are gravitating, if we are these more advanced disciples, towards a real ashram, we might say. The greater ashram, now that's the spiritual hierarchy itself, I suppose. composed of many ashrams, is the fulfilled production of the new group of world servers down the ages, meaning those who have really served extensively, whether they were called by this name or not, gradually make their way into the greater ashram of hierarchy. And DK warns us, and maybe we don't have time to really take it up, but this is a statement full of important implications. Now, that's as far as I'm going to go. The idea is through service, and through occult meditation, we enter the spiritual hierarchy of our planet and are able to be much more effective in our helping of humanity. Now, we have hardly any time left. That's as far as I'm going to go. Does anybody have anything you wish to say or about this? Admittedly, we switched to the very occult part of the whole process here.
We can do also this way, that we take that again and then discuss. It is good thing that it is just read through, so that it is cooking within us.
It gives an idea. And he does the same with the Nirmanakayas and that still higher group, interesting, called the reflecting lights. You know, every once in a while he gives you knowledge of groups that we don't even know exist, like the 49 or 7 spirits of darkness. They have to do with the monadic aspect and the reflecting lights higher than their Nirmanakayas. Anyway, it's good to balance our knowledge of the servers with some of the spiritual occultism behind the servers.
Maybe one thing we can note that when we talk about this creative meditation, that it starts from the new group of servers, that is like the lowest extension of that possibility. As DK talks about, that the humanity reached only the, how he described, possibility for invocation. That after the Second World War, humanity became first time invocative. And these are very interesting things and deep things to contemplate, that what do they really mean in practical sense. I think, did Jesse say, yeah?
Well, you know, anything having to do with
Jesse says, Michael.
Oh, Jesse says, I'm sorry.
Yeah, staying in constant contact with the soul is the same as being in constant meditation, contemplation, or creative meditation. I agree with that.
Yeah, you could say that. And of course, how many of us are actually in that state or even focused within the causal body constantly? That's another indication. That would be an indication that the 3rd degree had been taken. If your consciousness is always at will, centerable within the causal body.
And you know that this meditation that we are doing, we are not ending it in the end. We just we do not end the meditation. We stay in our posts.
Exactly.
In our meditation. Exactly. So we leave that like on. We strengthen it and we come together and we do a certain process. And we will talk about these experiences, or write down your notes that we are able to share in one point.
It is really important for people like ourselves who, let's say, are members or potential members of the new group of world servers, that we work on the higher side where spiritual occultism is effective. There are going to be many people who are loosely members of the world servers, loosely, and they're doing a lot of good, and they are men and women of goodwill. But for those who know a little more or who have been instructed, the sustaining of meditative spiritual occultism is a very important aspect. And so we have to keep our learning about these things going, so we know what's behind, where the energies are really coming from, and how we are serving.
And we can note here that the new group of world servers is the Ashna Center of Sanat Kumara. And that is very much related to the vision. So in one sense, I think we can think about creating meditation as the sending forth the new pattern and vision. And that is important work for humanity, because without vision, people perish. And that is, in this kind of challenging times, it is our duty to send forth the hopeful visions.
Yes, and an inspiring one, and a possible one. You know, we can direct. The Asna Center is a directing center. It directs energy. It focuses energy. It can target energy where it is needed. So it's a big responsibility to be in the new group of world servers.
Jesse was continuing. We all stay open to our work together, or the eye of Sanat Kumara.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, that's a good way of describing it, I think. Yeah. Well, dear, we are at that point.
So we let us take this again, and then we'll continue to go deeper, because it's important points which are said here, and it's good to contemplate more. But
yes,
if we,
I think, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just, can I share my screen now?
Oh, yes, yes. I just want to say, that this book is a manual for initiation. You have to understand that he tried to give out a book which would prepare people for real initiation. This is the book, Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 2. Yeah, please go to your screen.
Okay, I'm going to close my video, and maybe we will go now to meditation. We go within and catch up from yesterday where we left. And realize also what the group has been achieving during this past 24 hours. And let us try to learn what TK is teaching, that we have the attitude within our physical brain, the attitude of achievement, which is then affecting our emotional nature. And we invoke our gratitude and the sense of group union. Again, we visualize we are around the governmental triangle. And maybe some of you have a strong sense, your position, where you might be standing now. And I'm thinking like our American disciples. DK. It is my task to mobilize the new group of observers and the men and women of goodwill so that they may stand as a great army of implacable spiritual will. Behind the participants in these conferences and councils, enabling them to think with clarity about the issues involved and thus, through this clear thinking, affect telepathically the minds of men. This involves the use of a power seldom employed as yet on the side of righteous endeavor, though already widely used by the materialistic leaders of the forces of evil. It is so easy to drift into the same habits of speech and thought which we find around us, and to discover ourselves participating in attack and the spirit of hate. Guard yourselves strenuously against this, and say nothing which could inflame hate and suspicion in connection with any race, any person, any group, or any leaders of groups and nations. You will have to guard yourselves with care, so that even in defense of that which you may personally or nationally approve, you do not find yourselves full of hate and breaking the law of love, the only law which can truly save the world. Perhaps the key to your success along this line will be the silence of a loving heart. Let us stand as a great army of implacable spiritual will to love. Let us create now consciously a triangle between the soul, mind, and brain. So that there is a direct and free inflow from the higher self to the lower. And we recognize this flow. We align with our solar angel. And align with the solar angel of United States. Visualize this vast angelic cooperation and see how your soul is now linked in mystery with the Dharma of this great directing entity. And we align with the Dharma of the soul of US. I light the way. Behind all the light stands the Christ. I am the light of the world. We again dedicate ourselves into his mission to bring heaven to earth. And with this hierarchical intention, what is United States to the world? Let us say together, we have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya, be with us. Welcome his presence. In his presence we perform the mudra Dhyani, the mudra of deity, which is holding the worlds in perfect balance, in harmony. We carefully step forward in our work, and now we perform the cross of divinity for protection of the group. And we scribe the cross from the forehead to heart, from left eye to right eye, while we are sounding also the affirmation. Forehead. As a soul, I work in light, and heart. Darkness cannot touch me. Left eye. I take my stand within the light. Right eye. I work, and from that point, I never move. And now visualize this cross before you and see that in front of every single sister and brother. And now we are going to have our very strong protection formula. So we check that our physical body is relaxed. Our astral nature is quiet. And our mind steady. We now create a triangle between the group personality with our unified soul. And with the Master R, the regent of America and for Europe, the Lord of Civilization. See him as the apex of the triangle. We call down a stream of pure white light. Pouring through the lower vehicles of the group. And thus cleansing away all that hinders. Pouring through the group. Into the covenantal triangle and filling it with pure white light, cleansing and cleansing away all that hinders. And pouring further towards the whole country and filling the aura of the country with this pure white light and cleansing everywhere which hinders the soul values. In our creative imagination, we see that everything is shining pure white. Now we link ourselves up as one with the Lords of Masters, with the brotherhood for which we are working. Recognize the stillness which has been achieved. we visualize those masters of whom we know. We raise our vibration higher still. We connect up, if possible, with the Johans. And with the Manu according to the line of politics with which we are now working, and along which the attack may come. Now we call violet light, pouring through the linking chain and through all the vehicles of the group. And we visualize this beautiful violet color, light shining full of light. Pouring towards the governmental triangle and feeling it. Repatterning everything under the great plan. Pouring towards the whole country. And filling the whole aura of US with beautiful violet light. This work creates vacuum. What results when the work is correctly and carefully done by a group of people rightly intermingled? A vacuum is created that corresponds somewhat to the vacuum that should exist between the ego and the personality, but this time between a group and those on the inner side. We call now through this open channel the golden light, And that fills everything. All the vehicles via the group, filling the governmental triangle, shining golden color, golden light, and then the aura of US. And now, next step in our protective work, we cooperate with the angels. And we are calling the forces of light, the forces of protection, the angels of protection of Archangel Michael and his saving force, to create a wall of protective energies. To keep all illegal actions in leash under the will of God. We see the Christ above the triangle, governmental triangle, and Archangel Michael protecting him. We call now the soul ray of the United States, the second ray. See beautiful indigo blue descending through the Christ, coloring the governmental triangle with this indigo light. Thus bringing the soul qualities, soul energy, and may all the disciples who are working in these three places be affected and strengthened by this. And it pours towards the whole country via the group. Fulfilling the aura of US, and in every state strengthening the soul values and soul work. Strengthening all the light workers, women and men of goodwill, all disciples, aspirants, reminding from the purpose, strengthening willingness to work with the plan. There are no limitations when true esoteric work is undertaken. To this end, says Master DK, I seek to emphasize renewed application to meditation and a constant steady use of the invocation, particularly the one which begins by invoking the Lords of Liberation. Let us be in this indigo light for 1 minute of silence, and then we have the great invocation number 2, and Michael will lead us. 1 minute silence.
Let the Lords of Liberation issue forth. Let them bring succor to the sons of men. Let the rider from the secret place come forth, and coming save. Come forth, O Mighty One. Let the souls of men awaken to the light, and may they stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of woe has come. Come forth, O Mighty One. The hour of service of the saving force has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, O Mighty One. Let light and love and power and death fulfill the purpose of the coming One. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, O Mighty One, and blend these three. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end.
Let us now create 7 streams of fire, wheel of 7 streams of fire of love. In deep alignment with the inner work of protection, we see the Lord of Love standing in the center of the group. In our creative imagination, let us perform a wheel of fire with 7 spokes. See yourself and the inner working group standing in the center, at the hub of the wheel. Which radiates with a living, all-consuming substance of love from the Sacred Heart of Christ. Visualize yourself and the group as if we were that hub. From that central position, we send out 7 streams of living fire, radiating upon the covenantal triangle in all rainbow colors. The covenantal triangle being protected. And the wheel is becoming bigger. Wheel is spinning, all these protective energies being spread even further to every single state. Protecting. Visualize this all-consuming substance of love, protecting, spinning, and radiating in all rainbow colors. We bring illumination through the evocation of the will. We bring imagination through the evocation of love. we bring inspiration through the evocation of the intelligence. And clarion is heard. We will stand for the good law. We are demanding good law to be followed in every state of United States. And we sound together. May thy will be done, not ours. May the blessing of the Christ and of the hierarchy rest upon all true servers, and may they stand tranquil and peacefully in the midst of strife and crises. With deep gratitude to all, we are releasing the mudra, but in our awareness we stay and hold our post. We thank you everybody, and tomorrow we will continue at 10 p.m. GMT.